So it says here in the Constitution of the United States, there's 6 reasons why we have a government. Why do we have the American government? Number 1, to form a more perfect union. Number 2, to establish justice. 3, to ensure domestic tranquility. Number 4, to provide for the common defense. Number 5, to promote the general welfare. And number 6, to protect our individual freedoms. Now, the preamble to the Colorado Constitution of 1876, which is the current one, 1789 is America's Constitution, so Colorado's Constitution is going to be written nearly 100 years later. But they only come up with 6 reasons about why the Colorado government should be formed in the first place. And 5 of them are the exact same. So both Colorado's Constitution and America's Constitution both protect these 5 things. The reason why we have government, why do we have state government, why do we have federal government? Number 1, to establish justice. 2, to ensure domestic tranquility. 3, to provide for the common defense. 4, to promote the general welfare. 5, to protect our individual freedoms for liberty. I don't want a criminal society. I want a free society. Could you imagine if we had a political religion which revered our laws, just like Abraham Lincoln had talked about at the 1838 Lyceum address? So both preambles declares that justice, tranquility, civil liberties, common defense, and the general welfare are the 5 of the 6 main purposes for government in the first place. Now, the only thing that the constitutions of America and Colorado disagree on is the very first purpose. The U.S. Constitution wants to form a more perfect union, whereas the Colorado Constitution wants to form a more independent and perfect government. And I like both of those. Both of those make sense to me. To form a more perfect union, it's a federalist society. They're trying to keep all the states together. Colorado is saying we need to be more independent, and our government needs to be more perfect. We need to aim for perfection. So that reflects our perfectly balanced federal system. Now, I'm going to just read off these list of names, and then I'm going to come back to these natural freedoms. Of course, we have natural rights. Of course, we have natural rights. We have a right to defend ourselves, do we not? According to Hobbes, that's the first law of nature, the right to defend ourselves. So, we've had 24 murders in the past 7 years in the SLV. So I had moved into Costilla County November 2019, but I stayed here for a year. So I got here late 2018, 2019. I Googled some things. So I remember reading about some of these news stories when I first got here. And then some of these things happened when I was already here. I don't know if Jennifer Sharp and Nelson Billings got killed, but that's right around when I was, Byron Garcia Duran. That guy got killed at the library. Those 2. Okay, so I'm just going to read the names I'll go from the top to the bottom. But we've had 24 homicides in the past 7 years in the SLV. Population 46,000. 6 counties, rural, southern, south central Colorado. In June 2016, James H. Sprouse is going to get killed by Mike Robinson in Romeo, Conejos County. 3 people are going to get killed in Conejos County, County Road Y in Capulin. Santos Navares Rameriz, 25 years of age, is going to kill Guadalupe Cervantz, 57, Jose Joey M. Archuleta, 54, Marissa Herrera at Lupe's birthday party. Don Kinki L. Martinez was shot and injured but survived. Santos waived his preliminary hearing, pled guilty, and received life in prison. April 9th, 2018. So that was 2016, June. James H. Sprouse was killed. 3 people was killed in Capulin in 2017, January 16th. So now we're on number 5. April 9th, 2018, the weekend prior to. An unnamed 12-year-old had killed an unnamed 14-year-old in Rio Grande County, Colorado. Now, some of this is accidents, but we keep seeing this accident happen over and over. There's a TikTok murder that was an accidental. Are we just allowing, they're just handling guns and then just playing with them? or there's gangs. And we have a lot of disaffected young people because our institutions, our cops and our teachers, and there's no jobs and the system has failed them. August 25th, 2018, Jennifer Sharp of Texas and 26-year-old Nelson Billings. Nelson Billings killed himself, but they were in a chase. They had stolen a car. And Jennifer Sharp apparently had a shotgun. She comes out with a shotgun. They shoot and kill her. And then we're supposed to believe that he killed himself. We weren't told anything. There was no jury trial. The DA at the time was Crista Newmyer-Olsen, and the trooper was declared justified by the DA at the time for shooting Jennifer Sharp because they said she was directly endangering other members of the public. September 1st, 2018, 5:30 a.m. Felix Gallegos is going to shoot and kill Byron Garcia Duran, 26, for robbing his hamburger stand in Antonito, Conejos County, next to the library at 210 Main Street. Then, according to Gallegos, 26-year-old Byron Garcia Duran exited the door and ran at the restaurant. Restaurant owner Felix Gallegos fired 2 shots into Byron Garcia Duran, hitting him twice and killing him. July 15th, 2019, 5:31 p.m., 8000 block Highway 15, Capulin, again, Conejos County. So, Antonito, this is also, a lot of them are in Conejos County. James H. Sprouse, Conejos County. Guadalupe, Cervantz. Jose Archuleta, Marissa Herrera. Conejos. Jennifer Sharp, Nelson Billings in Saguache. Byron Garcia Duran, Conejos. And Roy Cisneros, 45, in Virginia. Archuleta, 27. Again, Conejos County. William Trujillo, 36, and Ryan Lopez were charged with murdering them too. What happened to that case? Who are these people? How can we only have one paragraph on a murder? July 15th, 2019. So that happened when I was here. And then fucking Andre Psycho Barros. Fucking 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 dead bodies now. Karina Arroyo. Myron Martinez. Shayla Hamill. Selena Esquivel. Xavier Zevin Garcia. December 2020. Robert Turner Jr. is going to get killed in Saguache. I think Moffett. December 20. They said after a search that lasted 2 days in southern Colorado, Saguache County, murder suspect Donald Garcia was located in a camper that had been previously abandoned in Saguache County early Tuesday morning. February 3rd, 2021, Christopher Lopez is shot and killed in San Luis, Castilla County, on Alfonso Street. Josiah Medina, Thomas Espinoza, and Marcelo Gamboa were all arrested for the murder of Chris Lopez, and they were all held on $100,000 bonds. $100,000 bond. Meanwhile, that bail bondsman is being held on a $750,000 bond for going to collect on the bond that he put out. He was supposed to show up for sentencing. He didn't show up for sentencing. He had a warrant out for his arrest. He put up all that money. What's crazy about me defending Robert Thrash is that Robert Thrash has a bond out on me. Robert Thrash has a bond out on me. So it doesn't make any sense for me to defend Robert Thrash. I like the guy. I think he's an okay guy. And he, because he didn't put up the money, but he had signed off on the thing. So he was able to collect some money, but because he was able to sign off on the thing, I was able to get bailed out. So thank goodness for Robert Thrash. But it doesn't make much sense because our relationship isn't one of friendship. If I don't go to court, if I don't show up for court or sentencing or any of the times, I've shown up over 12 times. It makes no sense why anybody would suspect that I wouldn't show up for court. Since I've read a whole bunch of laws, I dress nice, I show up early for every single hearing. It makes no sense. I have too much respect for the law. Now, Robert Thrash is going to kill Phil Lucero on December 8th, 2022. It's about 2 months ago. and he's being charged with second-degree murder and first-degree burglary, and he's been put behind bars. But when you hear about all these killings, there's a couple of them that are justified. Put them all together and then see which ones Phil Lucero and Robert Thrash. Does the court, how come Robert Thrash, a bail bondsman who helped Phil Lucero get bonded out, basically it seems like the judge and the outfit doesn't give two shits about his own fucking sentencing and warrants and his own fucking judicial shenanigans. Phil Lucero said, fuck you, judge. Fuck you, SLV. Fuck you, cops. He ain't gonna fucking listen to your bullshit. He was supposed to go for sentencing. He didn't. What you gonna do now, motherfuckers? Robert Thrash even said he's wanted for court. He's wanted for not showing up, for failure to appear. He posted it like 2 months in advance. What's he supposed to do? But the reason why you can trust me is because I don't want Robert Thrash coming in, looking for me. I hate that Phil Lucero is setting a bad example. The whole point of having a month from the time when you're convicted or when you agree to a plea bargain to sentencing is so you can get your affairs in order. I need that time. I want that time. But Phil Lucero is fucking it all up for everybody else. So, it wouldn't make any sense for why I would defend Robert Thrash, except for Robert Thrash is in the right. Robert Thrash is in the right. He had signed off on the bond. And so, any of the 12 hearings, I've had a status hearing, I've had a dispositional hearing, had a preliminary hearing, or no, I never got a preliminary hearing. But I've had all these different, hearings, at least 12 hearings. And I've showed up for each and every time. If I didn't show up for any one of the hearings, I would expect a bench warrant to be issued for not only Robert Thrash to be looking for me, and then I'm going to lose my damn bond, right? I'm going to lose the money that I put up. So I think the bail bond system actually works well because I don't want to lose my money. And if you lose the money, let's assume, somebody does something heinous, but they were able to put up $100,000 and then they take off. Well, you got $100,000. The idea of the bail bond is that they'll give that money back. And I think that's a brilliant fucking system. You put money up to go through the damn thing. You went through the damn thing. If you run off, you lose that money. That's the fucking deal. That's the whole agreement. So if I wouldn't have gone to any one of those hearings before, a jury trial, sentencing is the last step, assuming there's a conviction. If there's no conviction, there's no sentencing. But if you go through each one of those steps, and Lucero was convicted or agreed to something, was supposed to go to sentencing, he knew that he was breaking the law. He knew he was supposed to go to court, and he didn't go to court. He might not have known if there's a bench warrant or not, but... And then the cops should have known that there's a bench warrant. And how come the cops didn't? Are the courts just for fun? The courts are just over there making their rulings over there to the side and the cops are just ignoring them? So Christopher Lopez got killed, and then the people that killed him, they're held on a $100,000 bond, but Robert Thrash is being held on a $750,000 bond. So like I said, Robert Thrash just seems like an okay guy. But if I didn't go to any of my hearings, I guess I'm not sure what the bail bond status is now. I think eventually I'll get my bail bond back. It's just going to be a little bit harder now. So that's the only interest for me is that I'm going to assume. Well, you're supposed to assume the word. I'm going to hope for the best. And so best case scenario, I'm exonerated. I get my bail bond back, and then I get to continue being a good American citizen as I have always been. So I would like for him to be out and about and free so I could get the bond back. But then ultimately, I don't want to be Phil Lucero. I don't want him to, chase me down. So what I'm saying is I'm going to honor the bond. I'm going to continue to be a good American citizen. I'm going to continue to go to all the hearings. And I'm going to hear what the verdict of a jury of my peers says. And I will abide by it. And I'll do that because, it's the right thing to do, but also I got that bail bond. So you hope for the best, but you expect the worst. So if the worst thing comes down, Robert Thrash could be chasing me down and saying, hey, how come you didn't go to sentencing? And then if he tries to take me in and I resist him, he's doing a police action. I don't know Robert Thrash. I know him just as much as I know, I've talked to Robert Thrash one time. So I know him better than I know Delata. I've never talked to Delata one time in my life. I never talked to him ever. I saw him several times in court. Let's finish this list up. So, just in the last couple of years, right? February 3rd, 2021, Christopher Lopez was killed. And these are the only ones that I've been able to count. There might be some other ones here because we only got like a paragraph. So, my God, as soon as that corporation doesn't pay for their website bill, then the story is gone. February 23rd, 2022, Brian Taylor, 41, was stabbed to death in Villa Grove in Saguache County. So, Saguache County is getting... David Delata, 38, is going to shoot and kill Omega McCullough, 36. That's May 29th, 2022, Costilla County. He was held on a $150,000 bond. What's going on here? Why is Robert Thrash being held on almost $1 million, $750,000? $750,000? How fucking rich do they think Robert Thrash is? And if he was able to come up with a $750,000 cash only bond? Cash only. Who the fuck has nearly $1 million in cash? Even banks don't have $1 million. It's all digital. 90% of all the... That's egregious. That's too fucking much. That's malicious prosecution. That's malicious fucking judgment. That's a malicious system. $150,000 bond, $100,000 bond, cash only bond. That's another. What the fuck? You're acting like Phil Lucero's like Audrey Barrows. Meanwhile, Audrey Barrows is trying to go to the mental ward for a couple months, and then he's going to be shopping amongst us. We're going to see Audrey Barrows at church. He's going to be, waving to us, and we'll see him at the post office and the local grocery and the watering hole. Robert Thrash stood up and did a police action. Does anybody doubt if that was a cop that they would have fucking said good job, cop, and given him all the accolades in the world? So Brian Taylor got stabbed to death last year, February 23rd, in Villa Grove. By who? How come we're not being told? June 23rd, let's see, Delata Omega, June 23rd, 2022. Moffat, again, Saguache. Kenneth Mendenhall Jr., 31, was arrested for the alleged murder of Tracy Friel, 57. Who's Tracy Friel? Saguache County. I'm tired of we the public not knowing shit about shit. Even the Deming model for management was about freedom of information. If you're running the top, you want quality control. You want your workers to be doing everything. Give them all the fucking information that they fucking goddamn need to know what's going on. You might think that they're the lowly janitor or whatever. Get them interested in the corporation and the cause of the corporation. All for one, one for all. Isn't that the whole idea of a corporation? Why is there more solidarity in a corporation than in unions? Officials were called to the residence 7:25 p.m. So Tracy Friel was found dead, life-threatening gunshot wound to the upper right thigh. So Kenneth Mendenhall, this happened last year. Where are the reporters at? Where the hell are the August 7th, 2022. Now, this is youth killing youth again. Now, she's dead, so I'm glad that they printed her name. Aaliyah Salazar. R.I.P. to Aaliyah Salazar. She's only, 13, 14, 15 or something. They're doing a TikTok video, and then they said you could see in the TikTok video that they pointed the gun right at her head and shot and killed her. Right there on video. You see the whole thing. Was it intentional? Wasn't it intentional? I don't know. But they're all underage, so we're not being told anything. But that's where the gangs are, right? That's what the gangs are targeting, the youth. Emiliano Vargas was arrested since it was his gun that was being used. So that's the adult that happened to be on the August 13th, 2022. So not 6 days after Aaliyah Salazar is killed, you have Jesus Lozano, 51 years old, is going to get shot and killed. This is Costilla County, near Fort Garland, Sangre de Cristo subdivisions, in his own home. He was shot along the 900 block of Wilking Way around 11 a.m. on Saturday. A warrant was issued for 25-year-old Rondell Brown, who was arrested at his home Friday evening. He was taken to the Weld County Jail, where he is being held on a $150,000 bond. $150,000 bond. He straight up killed a guy. He just murdered a guy. He wasn't a bail bondsman. He didn't defend the system. Robert Thrash is of, by, and for the system. Robert Thrash, he wasn't going to help me out until I was able to get somebody else. Robert Thrash wasn't going to let me walk away until he got the arresting officers, 3 times or 4 times he asked the arrest. Are you sure? Is okay to leave? Can he walk? Is okay? Yeah, motherfucker. He said it's okay. Quit asking him so many times. He's going to change his goddamn mind. So Mr. Of, by, and for the system is going to get fucked bigger than everybody else in the fucking world. You should thank Robert Thrash, and then next time, talk to him when he has to, go after a person that has a bond that's expired and there's a warrant out for the guy's arrest. Phil Lucera had a warrant out for his arrest. If you can't tell the difference between a police action and self-defense and a criminal fuck, Jesus Lozano got straight up fucking murdered. Aaliyah Salazar, that could have been an accident, right? That could have been an accident. A lot of these are, straight up murders. But if it's not a police action, if it's not self-defense, most of these are straight up murders. That Andre Psycho Barros, he says he's not guilty by reason of insanity. So he's saying he killed all these people, but he's just too damn crazy. He didn't know what the hell was going on. He didn't know what was going on. He's barely even there. He's barely even alert. There's no light behind the eyes. There's no person behind. There's no soul. And then January 9th, 2023, we got another murder. Aaron Delgado is going to be killed in Alamosa. And 2 18-year-olds and 3 17-year-olds were arrested. 2 18-year-olds. What are their names? Who are these people? They're part of gangs. What gangs do we have around here? You have a whole bunch. You got Hell's Angels. You got the Casa Nostra. You got the 8th Street Gang. Is it the 18th Street Gang? Is it the Three Kings, Cineola? Is it some local thing? Is it Andre Psycho Barros? Is that the gang keeps on striking again? Andre Psycho Barros, his gang just keeps on finishing up his fucking... So Aaron Delgado got killed by 2 18-year-olds and 3 17-year-olds. That's January 9th, 2023. So to read off the names real quick. Aaron Delgado, Phil Lucero, Jesus Lozano, Aaliyah Salazar, Tracy Friel, Omega McCullough, Brian Taylor, Christopher Lopez, Robert Turner Jr., Karina Arroyo, Myron Martinez, Shayla Hamill, Selena Escobel, Xavier Zevin Garcia, Roy Cisneros, Virginia Archuleta, Byron Garcia Duran, Nelson Billings, Jennifer Sharp, an unnamed 14-year-old Marissa Herrera, Jose Joey M. Archuleta, Guadalupe Lupe Cervantz, and James H. Sprouse. So RIP to the dearly departed. Even the ones that seem justified, you still don't want this to happen, right? That's why violence and lethal force should be the final option, not the first option, the final option. Did you try 2 or 3 things? Did you try hands? Did you try weapons? You had to effectuate the arrest, right? You saw the crime. You had to. Do you have evidence that you tried to? 24 homicides in the past 7 years in the SLV. We got the country charm of Mayberry on the outside, but we have the homicide rate of Denver, the homicide rate of New York City or LA or Chicago. So RIP to the dearly departed. 24 homicides. The damn system can't even do a capital punishment. But you're going to tell me that 24 homicides they're all justified? Bullshit. I'd say there's a handful that were justified, but most of these are murders. And it's bullshit. So Article 2, Section 24 of Colorado's Constitution says rights reserved not disparaged. The enumeration in this Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny, impair, or disparage others retained by the people. The Ninth Amendment of America's Constitution says the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. And so I've got 23 natural rights here by Hobbes. I also have 10 rights here by Maslow. We should read Maslow first because you have a right to life and then liberty. So what do we need for life? Well, let's just read these 10. The right to food, water, the right to fire, fuel, clothing, warmth, the right to shelter, housing, right to oxygen, free air, the right to sleep, right to security, right to govern our own bodies, the right to motion, and the right to transportation. So those are the first 10 rights for life. What natural rights? What rights do we have in nature according to Hobbes? We have 23 natural rights according to Thomas Hobbes. He was a big royalist. He's a big conservative. Loved the king. Loved the king more than the king loved himself. But even Hobbes said that we individuals have a right to defend ourselves in the state of nature. The fundamental law of nature to seek peace. We also have a right to a collective social contract between the government and the people, the right to contracts, the right to fair and enforceable contracts, the right to be sociable, the right to gratitude, the right to forgive and be forgiven, the felicity to pardon. That's the 6th law of nature. And the 7th law of nature, consider the future good when it comes to justice. You have a right to justice, not cruelty. In revenges, men look not to the greatness of the evil past, but the greatness of the good to follow. That's the 7th law of nature by Hobbes. He's against contumely. You can't show hatred and contempt for other people. He's against pride. He says everybody has to acknowledge that we have political equality. We have political equality. We're not all born equal so much, but we are born equal. And you better admit it, and you better admit it now. Thomas Hobbes was also against arrogance. So a lot of this kind of goes into, he's got a whole fucking coherent moral framework here. A legal framework, a moral and legal framework. He's saying that he doesn't want us to war against each other. He wants us to be at peace. And so this is all, he comes out of the English Civil War. He didn't want the English to be civil warring with each other. So he's trying to stop us from repeating the same mistakes that we made in the past. Against arrogance. He's saying that whatever freedoms you allow for yourself, you have to allow for others. He's saying that, again, political liberty. We have a right to political equality, political liberty. If I have a right to speak and the right to petition and the right to peacefully assemble, so do you. You have the same freedoms as me. The right to life, the right to use fire, water, free air, motion, transportation, for equality. He says if a man be trusted to judge between man and man, it's a precept of the law of nature that he deal equally between them. The 12th law of nature is the right of everybody to use the commons equally. There's of lot, of primogeniture, first seizing. That's the 13th and 14th law of nature of mediators. Peacemakers have free passage, and both parties agree on the arbitrator. The right to have a fair and balanced arbitrator, mediator, judge. Of submission to arbitration, that's 16th, no man is the judge or arbitrator in his own cause. Number 17, 18, no biased person can be the judge. If you're going to be a judge, you got to be impartial, fair, even-handed. You must have no conflicts of interest. And then there's some more. There's 23.